Oh, yes. Caught offside from just outside of New York City and from an apartment in Brooklyn, New York. It's a very festive live edition of Caught Offside. Andrew Gunling, JJ Devaney. What's up, brother?
Hey, how's it going, man? How are you?
Doing well. Doing well in the spirit of the season.
I like what you've done more than what I've done. My ears are on fire.
Those, I was going to tell you, those are not meant to be worn.
No, they
I
are
gotta,
not. And
they're hot. Like I've touched Christmas lights before. They do get a little hot.
I'm really discovering now that the heat is quite something around my ears, and the wax in my ears is slowly melting, dripping onto my shirt. But my shirt has
Mm,
got
yummy.
festive cats, festive cats. So there you go. That's
Huh.
nice. But yeah, I will at some point have to take them off. Uh, Julio Vega, JJ looks lit. Yes. Well, I have a child sleeping just a room away. What if I go on fire?
Yeah.
You ever think about that? Whereas Andrew's gone safe. He's got the fire behind him.
Yeah, that's true. Although I'm worried because I'm doing the show from a different spot in my house tonight, and I'm afraid I'm going to wake up everybody inside of my house. I'm closer to where my kids are all sleeping right now, but
Yeah.
that's neither here nor there. We'll fight right through that. This should be a lot of fun. We haven't done a live show in a while. Has it been since Berhalter Reina Gate broke?
It
I know.
has to the point where YouTube told us, "Hey guys, we're going to cut you off.
Yeah,
Your
yeah,
monetization is getting cut if you don't do something."
yeah. So I
And
do.
here we are.
I would say if I had to make podcast New Year's resolutions for 2024, one of them would be a little more active with the YouTube. I think we can probably kick it up a notch,
No, we
which is
can't.
coming from a
Definitely.
pretty low place to begin with. So we'll see what that actually looks like. But this will be fun. I'm excited to be able to interact with everybody. Hopefully, if you're watching, you're able to interact on the chat. For the live stream, we'll take your comments, questions all throughout. We'll throw out a couple kind of end of year stuff in the second portion of the podcast where you guys can weigh in with some of your thoughts on that as well. Obviously, lots of Champions League group stage stuff to cover. Not sure we're going to go through it quite the normal way where we usually do game by game. This will be kind of more like a group stage retrospective where we'll look back on it. So that should be a lot of fun. Before we get into all that, JJ, as we are in the holiday season, I wanted to tell you last night, I do these periodic dinners with like my college friends that live in New York. We get together, it used to be once a month. Now life makes things tricky and it's a little less than that. But we had our holiday one last night, which is kind of like our bigger one. And I've mentioned this before on the show, but it placed me back into what I consider to be my personal hell.
Oh,
Situations where you have to be quiet, but somebody among your group or your party can't be. That is my personal hell. That is the thing that makes me so uncomfortable, so horribly uncomfortable that I squirm. I want to hide under the table. Last night, we went to this restaurant for a holiday dinner and it was eight of us, and they seated us at a table that did not fit eight people. And so we're like, this isn't going to work. We have to sit somewhere else. They said, okay, well, we only have availability in the back room. We said, all right, fine. That sounds awesome. The back room. We didn't know, JJ, that in the back room was a live women's a cappella holiday concert going on in front of friends and family. And then eight goons, drunk goons, walk into the
oh
room.
no.
And like, these are guys I don't see all that often. So the whole point is to like kind of drink, have fun, and talk and like make, you know, make noise and so we
Sure.
walk into this room and it's just like a record scratch. Everyone kind of stop and look, who are these people now? We have to be quiet, but like some of the guys in our group are just not having that and they're just talking as normal. Some people are kind of looking. This is my If I had to describe what my hell looks like, this is it. I talked about it during when Jack had his piano recital and like Luke was just yelling and screaming and carrying on while kids are playing piano like without a care in the world. That's my hell. That is my hell. And this is no offense to the women. They were great. They sang all the hits and it was lovely. And in a different setting, in a different moment, it might have been a really nice thing. But this was it was so cringy to hear some of my friends just talking loudly, saying stuff, people looking. And you know how I just like, guys, lots of that. I almost bit my
I,
finger right off my hand.
yeah, you see, the restaurant have acted ridiculously there.
Yeah, right?
You're a bunch of guys. You've come in. It's the festive period. People are getting drunk. Ah, God, uncomfortable. Yeah, that just makes me super uncomfortable. Speaking of uncomfortable, Um, More than a few people in the thread now are looking. Can we get an update on Andy's chair? You can't possibly be still sitting on this chair.
Well, no, but that was only out of laziness. It's in the basement, and I'm doing the show from my living room tonight. So I didn't. I took a chair that was already upstairs, but I will. I intend to do it from that chair again. So
I
I'm
don't.
I'm in it until it breaks. That's where we're at.
But it could do serious damage to you. Like it cut your sphincter.
We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. I'm in it till the end with that chair. You have no idea how stunned I was when I lifted that cushion and saw just how damaged it actually was. I don't, like I said, I don't know how it's holding me upright.
Um, there's a couple of comments coming through. Uh, Ross describes us as a podcast about nothing. I just watched that Seinfeld episode where they pitched Embassy. It's a show about nothing. And so I'm really feeling that with this live stream. I think is exactly what it's going to be. Um, just a couple of things. First of all, I'm drinking. Okay, so if things get weird, that is that's my fault. Um, uh, Talia, the beer from Williamsburg, Andrew. My beer of the year.
Huh.
It's the Sun Up hazy IPA. Really, really love it. And I saw some cans of it tonight, and I thought, wouldn't that be great for the live stream? Um, so yeah, should we get this thing started football wise, Andrew? Also, I
Let's.
gotta take these off. I can't do this.
You
I'm
just
going to
don't
go on.
want it enough. You don't care. You don't have enough of
All right,
holiday cheer in
I'll do
you.
the entire. I will do the entire Champions League segment wearing these. If I go on fire, that's fine.
We're gonna find again intrigue, something to keep people tuned in to wait and see if JJ spontaneously combusts. Yeah, let's get into it now. The Champions League, the group stage, as I've been touting it, the final group stage. Sad. Cue Sarah McLaughlin. Um, the final group stage of the Champions League has come to a conclusion. And so instead of, I mean, we'll go through some of key components of certain games, but I kind of thought we'd look at it a little bit more as a retrospective of what went on in this group stage. And I guess my of these kind of overarching questions, I guess the first one that I sort of have in mind is starting on the positive side of things. You know, we're always looking to identify the favorites. I think when it started out, it was clear to us that Manchester City, any competition they're in, they're going to be a favorite. Obviously, if it's the Champions League, Real Madrid are always going to feel like a favorite, no matter what they're doing domestically. So now we're through the group stage. We've seen all these teams as we head into the knockout stage, who look like the lead contenders at this point.
Well, first of all, like this group stage has been kind of a phony war. Like I'll name contenders, and they're all flawed in their own way, either domestically or in the Champions League. But I mean, it's Bayern Munich, Manchester City, the holders, Real Madrid, Arsenal, Atleti, Barcelona top their group. They have two defeats. Those are the teams we're talking about, Andrew. But I don't really know anything from the group stage. I think I know that Real Madrid may be back. Not that they went away, but they may be more back than we thought they were after the pummeling they took in the semi-final last year to Manchester City.
Mm-hmm.
But Bayern Munich, there's something missing there. They've cruised through an easy group, which in no small part to the decline of
Wasn't easy for everyone.
No, it wasn't easy. We'll get to that. Yeah, I'm just naming teams now here, Andrew. And I have no faith in any of them. Sorry.
What do you mean? What does that mean?
No, I've no faith that I know which one is going to emerge from the pack.
Well, look,
Put it that way.
I mean, look, Man City and Real Madrid, I think they held up their end of the bargain. With what I know, Man City are fourth right now in the league, but in the Champions League, they were the two teams that went 6 for 6 in the group stage, 6 games, 6 wins. They were the only two who did it in this group stage. So, I think so far you'd have to look at those two and say, okay, so at this point it's par for the course. The two teams that we kind of maybe felt the best about coming in, they look like it. I wouldn't. I know what you're saying that Bayern Munich, maybe it feels like they're missing something. Overall they pretty much did what they were supposed to.
I know, but
that
doesn't say winner doing what you're supposed to, and especially it doesn't say winner when you're in a group as weak as that.
Yeah, no, you're right, but they can only play who they play. The two that you identified as contenders that I kind of see right now as like dark horse contenders would be Atletico Madrid and Arsenal. And maybe I'm doing them a disservice by calling them dark horses, but they weren't teams that won their leagues last year. They're not viewed in the same light maybe as a Real Madrid and Man City. But I looked at the way that the two of them are playing, both in the league, but more so in this competition. I mean, Arsenal, for whatever doubts or concerns we've had in the Premier League, other than that initial loss to Lens, I'll just never be able to get my mouth, be able to get my mouth to say it properly. Other than that, I mean, they did have some really impressive performances in the Champions League group stage. Look, PSV in their league and in this competition are flying. They're having an incredible season. Arsenal beat them 4-0. The 6-0 against Lens.
Every time you say it now, like there's a glitch.
I am why French people hate Americans and look at us in it.
And Dutch people. Remember the credit card incident?
Well, that's because I had the gall to use a credit card. So I think Arsenal, I think they've played well in this competition. Bukayo Saka has looked awesome in this competition. So I would include them in my list right now if we're identifying contenders.
No, I think that's fine. I have them down as well. They're saying in the chat, who's playing Caught Offside Bingo tonight? Well, let me get you started, guys. Turgid.
Is that on there? You go. Is that in it?
Oh, turgid. I say turgid all the time. Absolutely. Get stuck in, guys. Turgid. There. Keep drinking. Turgid,
don't force. You can't force them, though. That compromises the integrity of the whole game.
You're right.
You can't do that.
It's going down so easy.
I was going to join you, but last night got away from me.
Oh, it did.
It doesn't happen very often anymore.
So you don't.
It happened last night.
Oh, really?
We had an all you can drink setup going on and took advantage of it. So sorry, you're on your own for this.
No, but the best way to get out of a hangover is to have more drink.
That's what they say. For me personally, I've never found that to be true, and I think it's a lie. But go for it. Those are some of our favorites that we think have emerged. Now let's look at the other side of it. The disappointments. And I guess I'll ask the question bluntly, and we can get a little bit into their game, the performance. Were Manchester United the biggest disappointment for you of this Champions League group stage?
Yeah, absolutely. And, maybe I'm just living in the 1990s or the early 2000s, but my expectations, I've been conditioned, Pavlovian conditioning, for Manchester United to be good. Not to be good, but to be always there or thereabouts. And even in that game against Bayern Munich at Old Trafford, I shared some of the sentiments. A lot of sentiments from journalists were how pathetic United were towards the end. Like the United of old, the kitchen sink has been thrown. If they're trailing, they're the most dangerous beast you've ever seen. That was what United's reputation was built on. That's gone. Forget about it. There was limp last night. That was a group stage game with lots riding on it that felt like it had nothing on it. It was hard to get the crowd going.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't do enough. A lot of people saying, yeah, they played okay. I mean, I guess, but I mean, the standard.
But that in itself is a lowering of the bar. Like United in a game where they have to have something and they lose, but they don't embarrass themselves. Like that just can't be the new standard.
No, but it is. And it's, listen, they don't have good players. They don't. They don't have good players. So when we stop saying that they do, and the guys that they have are like the really good players that they have, the best player that they have is Bruno Fernandes. He just is the best player they have. Højlund has a lot of potential, but he's playing in a side that really they're not going to be able to get him the ball. They have a goalkeeper who you saw him again rooted on the goal. What are you doing? He goes to the left. He move out, close the angle, make yourself big. Do anything but that. Stumble over to the left and then just let it be kicked by you. Centre backs not good enough. Either over the hill, Maguire, Varane, or just never been good enough, Lindelof. The fullbacks, rejects from other teams. Wan-Bissaka never good enough. Dalot, what? Is Reguilon at the club? Yeah, Reguilon's at the club, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Midfield. Scott McTominay trying his absolute best, but he should be a squad player in a good United team, not a starter in a good United team. Casemiro, old and sold by Real Madrid. Anthony, not good enough for the league, a manager's pick. He's got it wrong. He's not good enough for the Premier League. Hoyland potential, like I said. Rashford should have sold him.
Yeah.
Not up, not up there. Like the whole team is just like Garnacho, a lot of potential, young guy, but you can't pin your hopes on him. Every bit of it is just not
You're
good enough.
right. To hear, I mean, honestly, to hear you go through it player by player, you can't argue with it. You're right. They're not good enough. I mean,
Yeah,
look,
and then you get to the structural factors at the top. I mean, Richard Arnold will leave, but what's the replacement? Who's going to be the next Richard Arnold? Everything the way the club is set up, like when Klopp came into Liverpool, all right, his influence was mainly on the field, but everything else changed around the club. The way business was done, like in terms of the nutrition, everything. He had his finger in all the pies, just like Fergie did when he was a Liverpool when he was Manchester United manager. Dwayne Phillips, United could be dangerous at Liverpool, nothing to lose, backs against the wall. That's actually true. When United are struggling the most, when they were coming off last fall, when they were coming off defeats to Brentford, and getting hammered by Brentford and beaten at home by Brighton, and they go and they rally and they beat Liverpool. When they're supposed to win it, they lose. They lose 7-0 when they've just won a cup the weekend after. They barely had a week with a cup, and they get to Saturday, they get beaten 7-0. So yeah, I understand what people are saying, and I will always fear United until they're put away because it's just again Pavlovian conditioning.
sure.
But yes, a total disappointment because of the club they are. Not a disappointment if you've been watching them for the last 4 or 5 years.
That's fair. Statman Dave points out Manchester United have conceded 15 goals in the Champions League this season. No Premier League side have ever conceded more in a single Champions League campaign. Who's a David Heitner of The Guardian points out the Bayern defeat was United's 12th of the season. Ready for this, JJ? I almost don't believe this. Manchester United, 12th defeat of the season. Across Europe's 5 major leagues, only Burnley, Almeria, and Union Berlin have lost more games.
Oh.
How that's unbelievable. And how can that be? And they are where they are in the table. I mean,
there's an article, and I can't remember, was it in the Athletic, or I think it might have been the Athletic. Doesn't matter. You Google it. Just say, put in United money squandered. United had the financial, they basically had the financial wherewithal in which they dominated everyone, including Arsenal, including Liverpool, for years and years and years. And the last few years, it's just been absolutely squandered away. And now you've got new sharks in the tank, like Newcastle United, Manchester City, etc., etc. It just
and you know, the problem too for them, you mentioned, okay, they're backed into a corner. Liverpool game this weekend could be interesting. I believe they're without Bruno Fernandes, who you've just identified as their best player.
Well, the big joke is that Bruno basically realized he had to go to Anfield, and considering the way he acted the last time he was at Anfield, where he didn't try to sub himself off, but he looked at Ten Hag at like 5 or 6-0 down and asked, "What are we doing? What's going on here?" Yeah. He was like a man who was slightly concussed, staggering around with a bottle of vodka. Like, I don't know what's happened. And so the joke is that he's got out of the game deliberately, but I would doubt that.
I would doubt that too. There's just simply no chance that that's true. Here's the problem for Ten Hag, as you know, we talk about his status. Not that I think I've kind of settled on the fact that I think he's going to get the season. That what he did last year was probably good enough that he'll have the chance to turn this around. However, you know, like we've talked about, the problem for him is he's now, like, you start to look at some of this stuff, and very quickly he's compiling a pretty significant resume of disappointments, like the Liverpool defeat that you reference frequently, questionable transfer activity, which again you reference frequently and justifiably so, relationship issues with certain players, i.e. Jadon Sancho, Rashford, Harry Maguire at times.
More than that, we just don't know about all of them.
That right. And now he's added to that resume, going out in the group stage, but not just going out on the group stage, not even qualifying for the Europa League, finishing last in a group with Copenhagen and Galatasaray. So this is now, you know, for all the goodwill that he built up with the way last season began with winning that Carabao Cup trophy. He acquired a lot of goodwill in having done that. But I think we're kind of back to even here. And he has the rest of the season, in my opinion, to sort of prove that he should.
Back to even.
What do you think?
He's in the debit column. He's in the debit column. That trophy I've never seen a trophy erased as quickly as that. It literally within a week it was over.
Yeah.
It meant nothing. It meant nothing. They didn't even get to the following Sunday without being humiliated.
I won't co-sign that it meant nothing after that game.
Humiliated. It was erased. It was like, what is that film where so it's one of the Marvel films. Someone just disappears in fragments. That was the Carabao Cup for them last season. Honestly, if they have a wall of fame at Old Trafford, they won't bother putting it up. And if they do, it'll disappear. Absolutely meant nothing. And people like me who kind of like we wanted Ten Hag, like from a neutral standpoint, wanted Ten Hag, thought that Ten Hag was the right appointment, thought, look at the football he played at Ajax. Within a year, he said, I can't do that here. I'll never be able to do that here. So what? We're going to pivot now because he definitely wasn't hired to play the same football that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Mourinho, and set up for the club, and that's what he's resigned himself to.
But they weren't. Like, that's the thing about them. Last year, for whatever you say about last year, it did look different than this. Maybe a lot of that had to do with the form Marcus Rashford was in.
They looked organized and they looked like they could win games, but they never played. It was like they're winning. Thank you, Ace Champ Elite. It's Thanos. Yeah, he was the one to make you disappear.
Yeah, we're not. You and I are not really. We're not really big comic book Marvel people.
Not really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, because we wanted them so much to be better and to see changes because we believed Ten Hag was the guy. We saw stuff that wasn't there. They weren't good last season. They just weren't.
I don't know if I fully agree with that.
Well,
I'm not sure.
Well, they did.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say, generally speaking, it's not a great look for the world's top league to have two of their four teams in this competition fail to qualify for even the Europa League. Newcastle, as difficult. Now, look, their group was exceedingly difficult. So, I do give them a little bit of slack. Now, finishing last in the group, I think they still qualify as a big disappointment for having done that.
It's hilarious.
But here is the only. You tell me if I'm excuse making, but watching that game, especially the end of it, that team they're just wiped. They're exhausted. I think that the injuries that have built up with them are taking a toll. Look at what's happened with them recently. So they beat United 1-0, but then lost 3-0 to Everton, followed that up 4-1 to Spurs, and then this most recent one, 2-1 at home against Milan. And at the end of that game, they were zombies out there. And now they have Fulham on Saturday, who have won their last two matches 5-0, 16 goals in their last 4 games. So a little bit of a frightening proposition for a very tired Newcastle back line. I do think the injuries have affected them. And look,
I definitely think they have, Andrew. And you're right. You can see it in their play. By the way, Tomori's block, like in a final group stage game sets that didn't really feel like much of anything happened. That was amazing.
Incredible.
That was truly incredible. His block from Miggy Almiron on the line. One of my favorite tackles ever. Cody Acevedo, one of those Marvel movies. JJ talking about Avengers Infinity War, one of the biggest movies of all time. I'm not going down this path.
He's not wrong, but you
one
just
of
have
the
to know
biggest movies of all time. For who? Like, I mean, I'm sure it made loads and loads of money. I didn't watch it. I don't watch movies like that. I will watch The Godfather 4 times in a row, back to back, before I'll watch that. And Ace Champ Elite against one nails it. JJ Martin, Scorsese, Devaney. Scorsese speaks for me when he talks about Marvel movies. Who cares? No.
Yeah. They're not my thing either. But I know that movie was like, it was a mega hit. We just for pop culture reasons. I mean, we try to keep up on stuff that we're not super into. We probably should have known that. I'll take an L on that. While we're mentioning Newcastle here, props to our guy, Christian Pulisic, scoring a goal in the Champions League. Now, unfortunately, it's not enough for them to progress as both Borussia Dortmund and PSG advance out of that group. But it was nice to see Pulisic score a big goal in a big moment. I mean, it gets him into the Europa League.
I actually enjoyed Milan. I would
Yeah,
agree with Jamie Carragher that a team of Milan's status cannot wear those jerseys. The- they're truly embarrassing. They're awful. It's okay for tin pot teams to wear those kind of colors, but for like Milan, they should be in classic white, the away jersey that they used to have when they dominated in the late 80s, early 90s. They can't be wearing. What was that?
yeah, I don't know. You're right.
Some
They
kind of
were almost
purple.
hard to identify at first. Kind
Yeah,
of like
dreadful.
wait, who's Newcastle playing? Yeah, but
Yeah.
good for Pulisic. That was
We need to get out of this segment, or my neck will go on fire.
just take it off then. This
I
has nothing.
won't.
It has nothing to do
I've
with the
made a promise
segment.
to everyone.
Um, just to circle back to United real quick. So, like I mentioned, they're not in the Europa League. They finished last in the group. This is the age old question, oftentimes for teams that are kind of struggling in the league. Good thing or bad thing that they didn't qualify for the Europa League?
Remains to be seen. That's only one of those things you can answer at the end of the season. Where, oh, look at the way they rallied for top four. That's a
Uh-huh.
good thing. I mean, United have had enough decent form, not performances, but form in the league to see it as a positive. We're not in Europe anymore. We're still in touch. Let's just focus on the league. So I can go with that theory, but it's not a question you can answer now. You only know that in like April.
I have a really dark negative outlook on that.
Oh
You
well.
know me, and maybe this is somewhat of like based on the club that I support, but like I'm not someone. I don't care who the club is. Man City, I would feel differently, but like I don't laugh at the Europa League. I think it's a legitimately good competition. No, it's not the Champions League. It's not necessarily where these teams want to be, but I think it can be a lot of fun to go on a run in that competition. So I don't laugh it off, but I do actually think that it's a good thing that United are not in this competition because honestly, I don't trust them right now to go on any kind of run in the Europa League. And I think it would almost serve as nothing more than like morale repellent for the club. And just like it would just be punching bag fodder for the fans and media to see them go to some kind of like random places and not play well. I almost think it's better to just be clear of all that and not have to worry about that extra competition, which I don't think would be successful for them. And they could just focus solely on the league. And by the way, they might only need to finish fifth. Although them and Newcastle might have done themselves damage because I don't know now what the status is of England getting that fifth spot for Champions League qualification next year. Now that they had two teams finish last in their groups, so we'll have to see.
I can see that. I can really see that point of view, Andrew. I'm okay with that. I am just going to take 1 second to take these off though, because it's ridiculous.
And JJ, while you do that, I should take a second because my fireplace YouTube video has come to the end, and so I have to I have to rewind it.
Load up. Walking in the woods.
So yeah, I would say I think it's best for United if they can just focus now on the regular league campaign. All right, that's negative. Back to some of the positive stuff, JJ. Standout performers from the group stage. I'm going to go first here with a team, and I'll get down to some of the players specifically, but a team that you mentioned earlier and I mentioned earlier as a possible dark horse candidate for this competition. One of my standout performers, I'm going to say on the whole right now, Atletico Madrid, because like the interesting thing about Atleti, of course, under Simeone is like we've always known this club to be a certain thing. They defend, they'll win games 1-0. It won't always be pretty, dark arts, all that stuff. But like not this team is different. Like they might still be good at all of those things, but they're also scoring lots and lots of goals. 17 goals in the group stage. Only Manchester City had more. Domestically, they've outscored Barcelona so far this season, only 2 fewer than Real Madrid, 6 fewer than Girona, which is a whole nother story with what they're doing. I think, like you've talked about on this podcast after various group stage matches, Griezmann was one of the players of this group stage, undeniably. But can I give a quick shout out to somebody who does not usually get it? JJ, Alvaro Morata, 5 goals and an assist in the group stage. Him and Griezmann as like a strike duo right now for that team, one of the most lethal in Europe. Props to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Griezmann's been a joy to watch during the Champions League. I think like I know the opposition in the group. I accept that, pumping Celtic 6-0, you're gonna look good. I think you'd look good against Celtic, Andrew. But honestly,
Wow,
it
what a shot.
really
I'm going to put my fireplace back on while you
all
talk.
right, okay. I really do think though that Griezmann has been just sneakily one of the best players in Europe. Not sneaky.
That's nice.
Sneaky's not the right word, but he's just absolutely quality. And I honestly don't think he gets enough respect for it.
Griezmann, yeah, you're probably right. What did I say about him? He's one of the most underrated players because you're right. He's been this good for a long time, but for his country as well. He's won a lot of high profile matches for France too. But you're right. He never seems to quite break through onto that elite level, but he's doing all he can right now. And if Atletico can go on some kind of run and he's their best player, it could do wonders, I guess, if we're talking about legacy building. I don't know if he's quite at that stage yet, but maybe. One other one I wanted to shout out to, Harry Kane. I don't think he left England because he had this great yearning to win the Bundesliga. I think he knows that his legacy and the narrative around his career is going to be molded by what happens in this competition, in the Champions League. And he has made the most of that opportunity. Most goal contributions in the Champions League this season. Kane, 4 goals, 3 assists. Tied right now. It's Kane, Bellingham, and Bukayo Saka, all with 7. By the way, all England at the top right now. Gareth Southgate's got to look at that and say, okay, like the time is now. There's no more fooling around. He's got arguably the 3 best performers right now in the Champions League are all English players. But Kane has been brilliant so far in the league as well. But he knows the Champions League is where he's going to have to make his money and prove how great a player he is. And he's more than done that so far.
Can you do me one favor, Andrew? Can you just check if you've got a video playing in the background? Because I'm getting some feedback into my headphones here from another video that's playing. So if you've got a YouTube open, a link open, can you close it?
I got nothing.
All right, because I'm hearing this back in my ears, and it's quite something.
Oh no.
Let me just take a second to fix that. You keep talking, my friend.
Oh no. So that's about all I have for the Champions League group stage stuff. The round of 16, the draw is going to be on Monday. So, one thing that's going to be interesting with that draw, you're going to have a couple group winners that are going to receive a tough reward for their efforts. I mean, PSG, who currently sit atop League One, they were runner-up in their group. Inter Milan, who currently sit atop Serie A, they were runner-up in their group. PSG are the one it's every year, PSG are the one that intrigue me. They have now gone out of this competition in the round of 16, 2 straight years, 5 of the last 7. And this is probably Kylian Mbappe's last year with the team. I think we assume that. They can't squander this. This is an opportunity for them that they've got to, if it is in fact their final year of Mbappe, they've got to take advantage of that. So, and I do think they're good enough. I know that they look different. They feel a little bit different than in past years, but I still think if you have him and certainly some of their other pieces, Warren Zaire-Emery has been one of the revelations of the season so far, just 17 years old. He's been phenomenal. They got to take advantage of this. I don't think that they can make this excuse, that we've changed the way we do things. We don't have Neymar and Messi anymore. They still have to be viewed as an elite team. And if this is their last year with Mbappe, they've got to find a way to go on some kind of run. There's potential for an absolutely fascinating knockout stage matchup for them in the round of 16. Your group winners: Bayern, Arsenal, Real Madrid, Real Sociedad, Atletico, Man City, Barcelona, Borussia Dortmund. I mean, there's, any one of those could wind up having to deal with PSG in the knockout stage of the Champions League. So we'll see. It's that should be a fascinating draw on Monday to see who they wind up with, to see who Inter Milan winds up with. So I'm looking forward to that greatly. I don't know where JJ has gone. This is very troubling. This is very Garth in Wayne's World now, where I'm just suddenly on my own. Wayne has left and Garth is now at the helm. So hopefully he'll be back in a few moments. I should say before he comes back, thanks again. Of course, it's the holiday season. I know everybody out there has been buying gifts like crazy for all your loved ones. And we have to thank Manscaped. They have been with us for most of this year now, and we're so appreciative of it. Like as is always the case, manscaped.com. Use the code CAUGHTOFFSIDE, 20% off plus free shipping. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra comes with the Weed Whacker 2.0 nose and ear hair trimmer, boxer briefs, the Shears 3.0 and nail grooming kit. It's all in there, and it makes an unbelievable gift. So do yourselves a favor, like we've been talking about for months and months and months on this podcast, but now is the time because it's the holiday season. So get out there, get 20% off and free shipping with the code CAUGHTOFFSIDE at manscaped.com. That's 20% off, free shipping at manscaped.com. JJ, are you back?
I am back. You can hear me. You can see me okay?
Yeah.
I was getting tremendous feedback, and I've solved the problem because you know me, I'm technically capable. But I apologize for that. I also there was paper going on fire where I left the lights that I had adorning me on the ground. So
Welcome back. We missed
thanks. You. Cheers.
So that's it for the Champions League. Should we move now, JJ, into some of our kind of end of year topics that we wanted to hit?
Yeah, please do. I'm excited. I'm kind of excited. I feel like this will be freewheeling.
Yeah. And I would love more. I mean, at any point, obviously, please feel free to chime in. Everybody out there listening right now, thank you for joining us, first of all, but feel free to also make this as interactive as possible as we go through some of our end of year stuff. We want to hear yours as well. JJ, I'll start with the moment of the year. Now, that's kind of broad. For me, this one was quite easy. The moment of the year was, I guess, for me, whenever it was that Lionel Messi sat down and put pen to paper and made himself an MLS player and an Inter Miami player. I mean, it's one of the 2 or 3 most important things ever to happen to this league. And then just watching it, seeing him deliver on the hype was such a thrill. The League's Cup could not have possibly asked for a greater gift than him suiting up that first match against Cruz Azul. It was just amazing how he gave credibility to this kind of made up tournament instantly. And it was just must see television. And he was so good. Dramatic goals, free kicks. It was incredible. Now, the question becomes moving forward, because he's got to keep going now. This was only the first act. He's now he's a player in this league now. Like, the novelty of it wears off. And now you want to see what he can do. I really hope his body can hold up, because he's under such extraordinary pressure to play well. Next summer, too, he's going to be under pressure to lead Argentina to Copa America during MLS's season. Inter Miami also qualified for the CONCACAF Champions Cup via their League's Cup success. So it's going to be a lot of games that Lionel Messi is going to be expected to play and play at a high level. And I so badly hope that he is able to stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, I believe that we're going to get a great version of Leo Messi. He just needs to be healthy.
Well, my concern was it was so many weeks after he had finished his MLS season and he's playing in CONCACAF World Cup qualifying against Brazil. And he's getting running repairs on the field. He put in probably his worst performance. Really, really, just not involved because he couldn't be. Is this a portent of things to come, Andrew? That would be my major concern for him.
I hope not. And hopefully he has this offseason to just get healthy and get right. Because we all want to see it.
Yeah. Can I just say, Daniel Medina, League's Cup was fun. I think League's Cup was amazing, and what an introduction. But MLS season pass turning into the Messi show was annoying after a while. It's a whole league, not just one player, no matter how great he is. Now, I know what you're going to say. Can I just go with Daniel on this one and just follow that thread a little bit? I agree with what Daniel is saying. It is tremendously frustrating for fans who have been around, of other teams, who have been around forever, supporting this league probably when the stands couldn't even be full. Messi shows up, and all of a sudden, there's a complete pivot towards him. Now, make your argument. I know what your argument's going to be, but just make it.
Well, I mean, look, he's not wrong. And by the way, I, on this podcast many times during the course of the season, said that MLS is playing a little bit of a dangerous game because they hinged so much of what the season was about on him. And then when Inter Miami missed the playoffs, it's kind of like, well, we now expect everybody to just snap back into okay, well, all of this still matters greatly, but you've spent the last 4 months telling us that this is the Inter Miami show, and now they're not. So of course, I completely understand that. However, I'm not surprised that it did play out the way that it did. He's the greatest player in the history of the sport who just won a World Cup. They've been trying to make this happen for a while, and this TV deal needed this. And by the way, it seems like, you don't get TV ratings and numbers like that from Apple, but they did talk about their subscriptions went through the roof after it happened. So they're going to cater to that. I don't think you can necessarily be surprised by it. Lionel Messi going to any league, I think would have had this kind of gravitational pull where that would have become the story. certainly MLS. I mean, so MLS is going to be that on steroids because there's no one really of that caliber. There's never been.
No,
So I get his problem with it, but I don't think anyone could be surprised by that.
no, I suppose you're right. One thing that a point that Newman makes is old school fans have been priced out, and that I don't care who's coming to the league. That is still very, very
I hate
disappointing.
that. I hate that. Yeah, that's too bad. That's certainly too bad. Did you have a moment of the year? Or was that kind of, are you sort of on with that one?
I love that one because I genuinely found such joy in seeing him destroy poor defenses. It's great. Seeing a great player do great things is, even when you know he is of another level to the opposition, is still fun in certain contexts. My moment of the year was Liverpool 7, Manchester United 0.
Oh my God.
Because I just, with every goal that went in, I was like, this is incredible. And it really should have been 10. It was a game that football can surprise you so much. And United fans came into that after winning a trophy, absolutely buzzing. Liverpool having such an indifferent season, such a difficult season. And that's how the game goes, 7-0. And I don't think that's not even the best I've seen Liverpool play. That it's not. And yet 7-0. Truly stunning game. It's not just a gloat fest. I lie, it is a gloat fest.
Oh my God.
It isn't.
It's
it
not?
is enjoyable. Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like I guess a
No,
game like that makes.
Look, I'm a neutral. I got no love for either team. But like, yeah, that was. I mean, in the Premier League, that might have been the most memorable game of the season.
It just it blew me away. Everything that happened in that game absolutely blew me away.
Yeah. All right. Disappointment of the year.
Can I do this?
What's that?
Disappointment of the year.
Yeah.
We're not doing story of the year.
Oh, did I skip? Yeah.
You
Okay.
did.
Yeah. Yes. You're right. I skipped over story of the year. Yes.
Can I do story of the year, Andrew?
Yeah. Sure.
My story of the year is it's four-pronged. Well, it's three-pronged, really. The title is City Football Group. The first prong of this is the treble. Manchester City did a treble. We're in December now of the year, the calendar year that they did that within.
Mm-hmm.
It gets mentioned by commentators the odd time. I know City aren't a huge club in terms of support. They're a huge club in terms of they're one of the best. They're the best team in Europe.
Yeah.
But they're not a big club in terms of support. It was the treble that created indifferent shrugs. It was the treble that was expected. It was the Death Star. It was coming to get us at some point, and we all just watched it happen, and it happened, and then it was over.
I know. And it created the podcast that I'm least proud of.
Yeah.
After they did it.
But we couldn't muster anything. We had nothing. When we saw them destroy Real Madrid in the semi-final and realized that from the other side of the weaker side of the Champions League, from AC Milan and Inter, that's the team they'd be playing. We knew it's over. It's over. The inevitability was stunning. Now, football has changed since 1999. We understand that, but this will not. 99, as traumatic as it was for all of us to watch, because United were so good, or what they did was so amazing, rather. Like, it's still a reference point. I still have to remind myself that City did this because it was just so inevitable. The second part of this City Football Group story is 115 charges by the Premier League. The league in which they play has 115 charges currently sitting against Manchester City Football Club. And they're basically charges of subverting the rules of the league in which they play, and basically rendering much of what they've done, or potentially rendering it obsolete. Not obsolete's not the right word. They've won those trophies. In my view, it's too late. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
I agree.
A massive asterisk beside them.
Yeah.
And then the third part of this, a team called Girona go into this festive period at the end of 2023 this year, top of La Liga, a satellite club of City Football Group, who scored 4 goals against Barcelona just this week past. Now, bundle all this together, and where's the good story in this? Winning should be fun. Teams that play good football, good players, we should remember them. We should revere them. I find it very hard to muster any of that for this team. It's
For who?
the
Girona?
for Girona.
Well, I'll
For
say this: Girona, while they are part of the City Football Group, I mean, let's be honest with each other, though. Look at their squad. It's fine, but like, look at their squad and then look at Real Madrid's and Barcelona. So even though they're part of a City Football Group and you don't like what they're a part of and maybe what they represent, if you can erase that from your mind and just look at the teams, it's pretty extraordinary what they're doing right now. The way they play, who they're doing it against.
but those things are
it
all
is not a who's who of Europe's elite on that
no,
team.
but
It's
all
pretty
those
amazing.
things, the way they play, what they do, how they do it, is all underpinned by massive, massive money. They're not.
No, you're right. I know that, but I'm just
and
saying if you can just look at who's on that team, it's it's amazing right now that they're ahead of Real Madrid. Go player for player. Like it's
well, all I'll say is this. I will finish by saying the worries about nation states coming in and not just dominating leagues, a league, but other leagues, and doing it with potential, although unproven malfeasance, and winning trophies and not being revered or celebrated, but doing it in a machine-like manner, that has come to pass.
My story of the year, JJ, is also not, I guess, not a great one, not one that I love. For me, it was the emergence of the Saudi League, and like, you don't have to like it, but you're living in denial if you don't see the impact that this league has made on some of the world's most high-profile talent: Neymar, Firmino, Ruben Neves, Edward Mendy, Frank Kessie, Alan St. Maximin, Wijnaldum, Jordan Henderson, Mitrovic, Jota, N'Golo Kante, Fabinho, Laporte, Yannick Carrasco, Mane, Benzema, and Ronaldo. I mean, these are a lot of the who's who of Europe's best players. And remember, like, the thing that was most mind-bending for me, JJ, when like the impact of it really hit me. I told the story on the show. I don't know if you remember when Jack had a friend come over and I was watching Chelsea in a preseason friendly. They were on TV and he was like so into it. And I was like, oh, wow, this is cool. He sat and was watching with me. And so I just casually said to him at one point, who's your team? And he answered immediately and said Al Nassr.
Oh my
And
my God.
I couldn't believe, because that's Ronaldo's team. I thought he was kidding, but he's 7. Like, that's not a joke they make. Like, he was deadly serious. This is a thing. And like, you don't have to care about the league. And I'm not saying we're all going to suddenly start watching the Saudi League, but I am saying, if you're not going to watch it, it's unfortunate that you're basically going to have to say goodbye to some of the game's most high-profile players before you're ready to. And B, like, this is going to wreak havoc on the transfer market going forward, as some of like Europe's biggest sides are going to have to figure out a way to prevent these guys from being lured to that country for that kind of money. And it's going to be really hard for some of these. I mean, look, Liverpool are doing the best they can with Salah, but we've all kind of accepted the fact that he's going to probably go after the season. I think this is a thing. I know, we saw flashes of this before, like, China tried this. I think that this is here to stay. And I think that this is going to be a thing every summer where there's going to be 5, 6, 7 guys that we're not ready to bid farewell to, that we're going to have to, because that money is just going to be, it's just too great to ask some of these guys to pass up. So this is a thing. And I think this year was when we started to really understand just how much of a thing it is.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it has a shelf life. If players are going there and they bring their and they're coming from cosmopolitan, Western liberal European cities, and then they end up in places where it's harder to move, it's harder to do the things they used to do.
You're right.
And I just think maybe they go for shorter periods, but inevitably they come back pretty quickly if they're younger. And there's also players who will not want to torpedo their early reputations. If you go at 24, that's crazy.
I know, that's why a guy like Ruben Neves is probably like one of the scariest ones, because like that's what you're talking about, is a guy like him doing
But
that.
I don't think there'll be a flood of them. I think there'll be guys 28, 29, 30 definitely will do it. I just don't think you can't change the nature of the country. And remember we used to talk about,
But for that kind
well,
of money,
players won't go to
guys
the
will try.
Northeast. Players won't go to Newcastle. Players won't go to certain places because of the weather. And some of that was actually true. It was hard to get foreign players to go to certain places in England. Now, money definitely equalized that a lot. I still think I have a wait and see attitude with this league.
I still, you're right in what you're saying that guys are going to go there and maybe they're going to find out that there's a culture shock to the lifestyle that they weren't ready for. But I think with the difference in money that they can make there versus other places currently, I think guys will continue to give it a shot and think that, I'll insulate myself with my teammates and like in certain communities. And,
but
I think they'll keep trying.
If you're going, you're literally taking yourself out of the limelight. You're taking yourself out of the Champions League if you're a serious footballer. I think it's too much of a cost.
Well, this new Club World Cup thing could make those teams relevant again if that tournament becomes as big a deal as FIFA wants to make it.
That may take a decade, 2 decades to gain the same relevance as the Champions League or European football competition. I have a wait and see attitude, Andrew, and yeah,
it's here. It has arrived. All right, let's go now to what I had jumped the gun to before. Disappointment of the year. I'll go first here, JJ. Another one that I take no joy in saying this. My biggest disappointment this year, JJ, was the U.S. women's national team. Their worst ever performance in a World Cup. You can't run from that. I mean, for me, that has to be it. I don't even know. I don't even know what's close for me. I mean, look at the impact of it. Precipitated a manager change. It might be the ushering out of some legendary figures for this team. Might serve even. I was listening to Lindsey Horan talk recently about how the U.S. needs to change the way they play and recruitment, and it might serve as a catalyst for changing a lot of things about this team. And here's the thing that was most interesting to me, JJ. Now, I'm not saying that this list is the end all be all, but ESPN FC, I think just today, maybe, or yesterday, they just released a list. They had a whole panel of pretty high profile people in soccer that they paneled to list the top 50 female players on the planet right now. Top 50. There were just 4 U.S. women and none in the top 10. Only 4 of the 50 were U.S. women, none in the top 10. Sophia Smith was the highest. She was 13th. 4 U.S. women. That's the same number that Australia had. That's the same number that Sweden had. And it's nothing against those teams. They're great. But there's never been a time when countries like Australia and Sweden had the same number of quote unquote great players as what the U.S. had. Meanwhile, Spain has 9 of the top 50. England had 10 of the top 50. I mean, that is, again, that list it's not the Bible. It's not everything, but it is certainly a guide in kind of showing you where things are right now. And for the U.S. to kind of be that low from a superstar perspective, that's never been, not in my lifetime, never been the case. So it's pretty eye-opening. And this World Cup was kind of a slap to the face of all of us out there that thought, oh, the U.S., any competition they're in, they're always a contender. They'll always be one of the final 4 teams standing. Not anymore. Things have changed, and it does seem like the U.S. fortunately have taken note, and hopefully things will be different moving forward. We'll get a sense maybe in the Olympics, but in terms of this year, huge disappointment. Huge.
Yeah, I'll never forget watching the Portuguese run rings around this U.S. team. That was the one that really, oh, wow. Yeah. They have a specific style of play. They are very technically good on the ball, and they should have won that game. This could have been over at the group stage.
All right, Portugal did that. That's a team that didn't even get out of the group.
No, and they hit the post. They beasted the U.S. for so long. It just makes me really wonder about what our new coach is really thinking and taking this job, because she said we don't have the technical ability, where we don't have enough creative players, and now she's taking on a team. She obviously thinks she can do something. Emma Hayes. She obviously thinks she can do something, but I'm kind of with her on the first analysis. I think our most technical player is still Rose Lavelle, and and fitness is an issue for her. So
She was 47th, by the way. Barely made it in the top 50.
47th.
Yeah.
Oh,
Naomi
now,
Girma, 21. Good for her.
dead right. She was
Yeah.
fantastic. She's one of the bright spots coming out
I
of
think
the
Lindsay
World Cup.
Horan was the other one. I forget. She was 29th. I think those were the four. It's a new world.
It is.
New world.
My disappointment of the year, Andrew. I can't get away from this. I sat down to watch this game. I
Oh, please.
was.
Is it United Liverpool again?
It was no. How could that be a disappointment for me? That was beyond
Because you wanted something intriguing and you wanted to be on the edge of your seat. I don't know. You're going to find a way to shoehorn it into every conversation tonight.
No, I won't. Borussia Dortmund, Andrew.
Huh.
The end of the Bundesliga season in May. Oh,
you know what? That's a good.
Sake.
That was unbelievable.
Oh my God. I still look at the table. Bayern Munich top on 71 points. Dortmund second on 71 points. You lose on goal difference. All you had to do was beat Mainz at home. Now, I have a theory that if it wasn't played at the Westfalenstadion, that maybe there wouldn't have been so much expectation and tension and German sweaty armpits just wafting onto the field to clog up the nostrils of the Dortmund players who conceded early, then got a penalty to get back into it, which Haller missed. Now, it finished 2-2, but they lost out on goal difference. All they had to do was beat Mainz. They went into the final game 2 points clear of FC Hollywood. And at one point, Bayern Munich were losing in Cologne. Musiala, again, they won the game 2-1. But if Borussia had done their business for once, they would have won it. I just talk about snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. This is the most classic case of it I've seen in an awful long time.
Yeah.
And it was so disappointing because you want to like the Bundesliga. There's so many cool clubs. There's such a great footballing culture. But you see Bayern Munich win it, season after season, only occasionally interrupted by like a once in a lifetime manager like Jurgen Klopp. And when you get to this point, you think, I was all ready to just be a Dortmund fan for a day.
I know. I felt the same thing. And it's no offense to Bayern Munich. I've got nothing against them, but I couldn't, like we always say, sometimes you sit down to watch a game and you just you think you're a neutral, but you find out 20 minutes in, you're not. You're drawn to somebody. I just wanted to see Dortmund do it. That was heartbreaking. And then some of the stuff to come out of it afterwards. What was it, JJ? That was the highest XG a team had in the Bundesliga all season that lost was Dortmund that day. I mean, it was just like stuff that just made it so much worse, even if that was possible. But hey, Gio had 2 assists, so there was always that. There was always that. I know you say that it's this this annual just tradition of Bayern Munich winning that league. Leverkusen, we should say right now, the only team left in Europe that has not lost so far this season. They're atop the league.
What a job Xabi Alonso is doing.
Yep.
I mean, he's come in around the football club.
Oh, that bingo card is just going wild right now.
He's been fantastic, absolutely fantastic. He's put a smile on everyone's face. He's come in, lifted the crowd. Seriously, though, they are. So I saw Leverkusen Bayern earlier in the season. I think it was a 2-2 draw. And they were really good, man. Really, really good. And then I decided that Xabi Alonso is my favorite manager because A, ridiculously handsome. B, still looks like he could play. Actually, there's a C. They put out a training video where there's players running in. It's an attacking format. There's players running in onto passes on goal. Who's playing the passes, Andrew?
It's him.
Oh,
it's him.
And he's the most sensual passer I've ever seen.
I love that guy.
Oh, he's bound for the Premier League. That's just the way it goes.
Not Real Madrid?
Oh yeah, good point.
He's going there.
Why do I think England would be?
He's going to Madrid.
2 years ago, Liverpool fans would have said, "Oh, the absolute nailed on guy." Not all Liverpool fans, but a lot, was Steven Gerrard to replace Jurgen Klopp. What a perfect lineage.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like it's Xabi Alonso.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's not. I mean, Gerrard kind of had his tryout. Villa was
And
his
now
tryout. It didn't go well. Now,
now he's at Al Ittifaq
yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
front of 700 people.
Oh no, no. If we, I mean, like, if you were power ranking managers right now, is Jabi Alonso? He's top. He might be top three, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. He he's the name on. He is the soup du jour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see. Yeah, but I'll be fascinated to see if they can keep up with Bayern and keep this going because it's a good story right now. All right, JJ, surprise of the year. You want to go first?
Yeah. May I? I've got two.
Okay.
So first off, I will deal with Aston Villa.
Hmm.
I didn't see this coming. Apparently, Sir Alex Ferguson was asked for his predictions before the season started, and he said, "Watch out for Villa. Villa are going to give this thing a real run." But honestly, you couldn't have convinced me that they would be this good, that they would be able to go back to back against the. I mean, the game against Liverpool is going to be fascinating, but that they would go against Manchester City and then against Arsenal and win. Now they did it in a certain style against Arsenal. They had to, um, I think it was Emi Martinez said he used the parlance suffer. That's another one that's come into the game.
Hmm.
We suffered. Basically, you're under the cosh
Uh-huh.
for a long, long time, but you still get the win. Uh, Villa have been brilliant, really, really good. Now we talk about their depth. Sure, that's a problem. Have they spent money under the owners over the last 5, 6 years? They definitely have. They spent a lot of money at one point, and they ended up with Steven Gerrard playing some of the worst football we've seen in a lot. Like it was awful. Villa were unwatchable. And the transformation has been so quick. You have to wonder though, are there managers who finish in a job like say Gerrard and Aston Villa, and they see the turnaround of the other manager so quickly and are just it makes their sacking 10 times worse. I mean, even Lampard must look at Dyche and think, oh God, look at what he's doing.
Yeah,
Oh God.
that's a great
Maybe I'm
point.
maybe I am not cut out for this. Emery's been what was it Wenger said to us? No, I think he was talking about culture, not so much playing, but I'm sure the two feed into each other. What was it Wenger said, Andrew? What was the time frame? He said if you get a job and the manager hasn't changed it in
Wasn't it like 2 months?
3 months or something, then it's not going to happen.
Which is incredible.
Yeah. But Emery's done it immediately. And I will say, you look at that squad, are there some players in there? There are some quality players in there, no question. But if you told me that John McGinn would be one of the key creative components in a team that was leading a charge for possibly the title, but definitely top three, top four, I would have said no, no chance.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, they got to hope. I know Douglas Luiz, he can't leave in January, and I don't think he's going to. I mean, I know there were the stories about Arsenal being interested. That's the kind of stuff that could crush them if
yeah,
teams kind of start coming in and poaching players. Although I don't think that would. I
I
think the
just don't see
summer
it
that's.
though.
I think in the summer you start to worry about that. I don't think in January. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they'll be able to keep this group together.
Yeah, I
Because
don't see that happening either. And yeah, they've been an absolute surprise to me. And then my second surprise is in the championship. Currently 10
oh
points clear of Leeds United in second place, which is the automatic spot. It's Ipswich Town. And what's interesting about Ipswich Town for me is that they're managed by, well, basically a manager that was part of the perceived problem at Manchester United, Kieran McKenna. So when Solskjaer got the sack just at the end of 2021, he was part of his backroom staff. And in fact, Kieran McKenna was a guy that was taking a lot of sessions, apparently a guy that Ronaldo complained about a lot. And he left. He didn't say anything. Got the Ipswich Town job, got Ipswich promoted last season from League One. They are now second. They're 10 points clear of Leeds in third, and they are just a point off Leicester, who are at the top of the table. and they will play. Now they've got a tricky run coming up. They've just beat Watford 2-1, but they've got Norwich in the derby at home on December 16th, and then they've got Leeds away, and then they've got Leicester at home. So that's a tough run. But what he's done is absolutely amazing. He's supposed to be really detail orientated. Just what he's achieved in this small window alone is outstanding. And they're a real surprise. When they came up, I thought they'd struggle or they'd be mid-table. Never thought they'd be where they are. And the goals they're scoring. There's an Ipswich goal. Type in Ipswich goal into Google or into Twitter.
I'll do it later.
It starts in their own box. Few passes, pings, left, right, and ends up with a Trivela, Andrew, which is an outside of the boot into the top corner. If a team in Brazil scored this, we'd be talking about it forever. So Ipswich, real shock to me, real surprise. And I know the championship is a marathon rather than a sprint, but right now, 10 points clear of third, 1 point off top. We may be talking about Ipswich Town back in the Premier League next season.
Very on brand for you.
For me to talk about the championship.
Yeah, one of your in a end of year retrospective to find a way to get the championship in there. It's just very on brand.
Is that my brand?
Definitely. Yeah, I think so.
Do you think I honestly care about the championship, or I just say it for effect?
Good question. I think you care. I think you care. I don't think that it's fake. But only you know. My surprise of the year, JJ, I have Jude Bellingham as mine. And I feel a little bit bad saying that because we knew he was good. We knew he was very good. We just didn't know that he would immediately transform into an early Ballon d'Or favorite and an elite level goal scorer. He's La Liga's leading goal scorer right now, 12 in 14 games, 3 ahead of the next closest, which is Griezmann. And again, knew he was great. Didn't question the price tag even, or Real Madrid really wanting him that badly. Just didn't expect this kind of sudden explosion of goal production. In 132 matches at Dortmund, he had 24 goals. He has 27 caps with England. He scored twice, but he's already got 12 and 14 in the league for Real Madrid. It just, you couldn't have seen it coming. Real Madrid have talked about it. They didn't see this coming. So incredible. As much as great of a player as I thought he was, still managed to find a way to be my surprise of the year. Did not expect that kind of elite level goal scoring, best player in the world type stuff. It's we'll see if he keeps it up, but it's pretty amazing.
Austin Griffin, JJ definitely cares about the championship when he can parlay it into hating on Manchester United. It's not my fault you got rid of Kieran McKenna, you fools. Bobby Busley, JJ's brand, in and around the subversive. Julio
Nice.
Vega, proper football man, JJ making an appearance. Are you automatically a proper football man if you talk about a division or a league other than the top one in England? I don't know. Robert from LA, Andrew. Does Andrew see parallels with how Showa Otani and Leo Messi being signed with MLB and MLS? Do you see anything there? I mean, Otani was already in Major League Baseball, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't. But maybe him coming over a few years ago. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Wait, was Otani a big deal before he landed?
Oh yeah, his signing by the Angels was a huge deal.
Oh, it was.
I mean, the hype on him was really significant. But with Messi, yeah, I don't know. Messi, I think people knew that the U.S. that the best player to ever play the sport was now coming to play in America. I think Otani still surprised people with just how great he was. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'd have to think more about that. Yeah, interesting. I'll go quickly here for this next category, JJ. Favorite match from the year. June 15th, Nations League semifinal, USA 3, Mexico 0. The game that had absolutely everything. Probably the U.S.'s best performance under Berhalter. The U.S.'s best player with one of his best performances. Pulisic had 2 goals. Should have had 3. He missed an empty net early in the game. But he had 2 goals. He was incredible. Fights. 2 reds for the U.S., 1 for Mexico. that iconic image, JJ, of Weston McKennie coming off the field with his jersey ripped in half, kissing, blowing kisses to the fans and kissing the badge. The incredibly weird ending with the game being called prematurely due to fan behavior from Mexican fans, with their chant every time Matt Turner kicked the ball. And also on top of all of this, as the ball was being kicked off, it was leaked that Greg Berhalter was being rehired. It was just the most unbelievable 100 minutes that night between those two teams. And for an American fan, it was just pure heaven to watch that. Now, the only thing that was I do remember at the end of it being like, oh, this was really fun. Now we got to go and play in the final of this thing without McKennie and Dest. Didn't matter. The U.S. went on and won it anyway. But that 3-0 against Mexico, oh, man, easily. I don't know. If not that, I don't know what my second place choice would have been. My favorite match of the year, unquestionably.
These last few years have given you so many great games, Andrew. Memorable games. I know, not just the trophies, but just the beating of Mexico and the conclusive beating of Mexico. It's been great for you. I'm so happy for you. I'm going to go to April 21st, 2023 in the Premier League. Arsenal 3, Southampton 3. Arsenal 3-1 down with 2 minutes left in the 90. Martin Odegaard steps up, scores. Bukayo Saka gets 2 minutes later on 90 minutes, 3-3. But it was one of those in the collection of Arsenal games at the end of last season where they collapsed and you knew that they weren't going to win the Premier League and that Manchester City would. And City did and eventually won it by 5 points. But Arsenal were box office last season. Now, the Luton Town game was... 2 Arsenal games came close. Luton 3, Arsenal 4, which is just last week. I love that game. Absolutely loved it. This version of Arsenal may not win anything, but I will have enjoyed watching them immensely. And last season that game was brilliant. I remember I didn't even see it live. I saw the highlights later. I listened to it in the car. I can't remember where me and Darcy were traveling, but we were going away somewhere. So we put it on. And what we do is we run the audio of the streaming from Peacock on our phones into and you get that great radio feel.
You do it all the time. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
I love doing that.
It really is great. And I think because you're driving, you're obviously concentrating. But in America, once you get onto a lot of the roads, it's just straight. So you can really picture what's going on in the game. And then you wonder, oh, when I watch the highlights, will that match with what I saw? But anyway, I digress. Great game for me, and one that stood out from this year.
Finally, our final category here, JJ, is not looking back on 2023, but it's looking ahead to 2024. The things that we're most looking forward to next year. I have a couple here. I'll go through them quickly. They don't need much after that. Copa America. It's the most important tournament that the U.S. can be part of outside of a World Cup, and it's happening in this country this summer. So it's just I couldn't be more excited really than I am for that. I'm excited. Looking forward to this year, JJ. I think we're going to have a crowded Premier League title race. I've said that now for a couple weeks, that something about Manchester City, the mileage, something just looks a little bit off. And I think that Liverpool and Arsenal are going to be in it till the end. I think we could have a 3-team race for the first time. And when was the last time we had a legitimate 3-team title race? I don't know.
Oh,
I think we could get one.
I think the year Leicester City won.
That wasn't real. I mean,
no, but there was Arsenal and Tottenham both at periods.
Arsenal were not part of it. They were not part of that race. They snuck past Tottenham at the end because Tottenham totally collapsed.
Okay, they weren't.
Arsenal were never part of it.
But was there not another team that made a run?
It was Leicester and it was Spurs, and Spurs weren't really. Spurs were the ones who just happened to be second for most of that time. Like I said, Arsenal got past them at the end, but Tottenham, what they lose by? It was like 7 points, 8 points, something like that. Like even that wasn't. It was barely a 2-team race. Definitely wasn't a 3. I think we could get a 3-team title race this year. I think it's more than possible. And then my last thing that I'm looking forward to this year, Mbappe. I mean, he might very well be the best player in the world, and 2024 I think will likely be the year that he changes clubs. Now we all assume
that's your reason for excitement.
Well, yes, because I don't
transfers.
No, but hear me out.
Okay.
this weekend, you watching Liga?
No.
Okay. I'm excited for him to go somewhere where like we can
Where
really,
I'll watch.
well, not just that, but like we can really start, like we all know, like, yes, it's accepted that he is quite possibly the best player in the world, but I want to see him do that in La Liga with Real Madrid, or if, I don't know what's going to happen with the Premier League, but if that becomes possible, it would be amazing if he came into the Premier League and him and Holland were going up against one another. That would be so great. So yeah, like I'm sorry for PSG fans. I don't mean to kind of like S on them in this moment where they're going to lose this superstar. But like kind of excited to see him go somewhere else. I can't help it. So, and by the way, him doing that, like he's of a caliber that it just like it changes everything. Like it totally reshuffles the deck in terms of who the favorites are in the Champions League and all that. I'm excited to see that. I am.
Um, Copa America, obviously, the opportunity for us to go to games, to have this tournament. I mean, it was so much fun in 2016, the Centenario. That was great. So delighted to have that again. But Euro 2024,
Sure.
Germany, proper football country. I think that's going to be tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. European Championships always fill my heart with glee, as you know, anyone who listens to this podcast.
You said recently you think it's better than the World Cup.
Yeah, I do.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
Oh, I'm wrong because you can't have Argentina, you can't have Brazil,
Right.
but also in a way, I look back. My favorite tournament of all time is probably Euro 2000. I just enjoyed every single bit of that, and it wasn't just one team. There was so many storylines. Holland's being beaten, Frank Rijkaard crying in the semi-final, Italy going to the final, going 1-0 up, only for a golden goal to beat them from France and David Trezeguet. Love that tournament. So I guess maybe because that's my favorite tournament, then I just think in terms of that as my favorite competition. But I don't know. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Absolutely looking forward to
As
that.
you should. That'll be amazing. This summer's gonna be so busy. Oh my God.
We're going to be super busy. We need
Yeah.
to, we're going to have to ramp up our sponsorship here, friend.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Well, last question for this one. With Copa America, something I was thinking about. Do you think that tournament has the power to potentially cause Berhalter to lose his job? Like
Yes.
if they go out in the group stage,
Oh, yeah.
I think
First of
yeah,
all, on paper to and certainly to executives in US soccer, they will think we want a strong showing in that group,
yeah.
and they will want a performance against Uruguay. They will want victories over Bolivia and who's the other team? Paraguay, is it?
Oh,
And
yeah, I think so. I was drawing a blank. I think that is it. Yeah.
yeah, and they will. I'm fixated on Uruguay, and they will want a victory over or a real performance against Uruguay. And if they don't get that, then they will. I think they'll think we have to make an adjustment for 2026.
The thing that'll be interesting though is if like I wonder at what point style points will start to matter too. Like that's always been a lot of the Berhalter detractors. Like one of their biggest problem is like, yes, the US has been
Sorry,
winning stuff.
Panama. Excuse me.
Oh,
Excuse me.
okay. Yeah, yeah.
Panama, Bolivia, Uruguay, and the USA.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Have to get out of the group.
Oh, come on.
Inexcusable if they don't. Inexcusable if they don't. But I do wonder about the style points thing because that's been one of the issues with that people have is like the US have won these trophies in CONCACAF, but it hasn't always looked good. World Cup qualifying, yeah, they got through it, but it was a little clunky. Didn't always look good, especially away from home. But he was achieving objectives. The World Cup, the group stage at the World Cup, they got through it. The draw against Wales, is that really great? England, yes, they played great, but like didn't score a goal. So at what point does it have to also look good? This manager's been here for a while now. Like he's had a chance to instill his way of playing, his system. He knows it's been pretty much the same players all throughout. I do wonder if Copa America is going to be like, all right, like, yeah, like we want this to look a certain way too. We want this team to play well, score goals. So we'll see. But I can't wait. That's top of my list for this summer. JJ, I don't have too much else on this one.
I don't, but I should thank the listeners that we've had who have been unbelievable. I also should thank a listener from South Africa That will never not be cool. I was checking in on some of the places people tried to buy merch from. Speaking of which, one second.
Oh,
Uh, Amazing. Australia, Canada, Norway, South Africa. So cool. It's truly amazing. And I hate to think that anyone would ever think we take them for granted because we do not.
oh my God, we are not those people. I
I
don't
should
think
also
people think that.
no. I should also mention I've been shipping merch today. So I feel like
Amazing.
kind of Santa Claus in my grotto, except I'm not jolly and I wouldn't say I'm fat. I'm tubby, a tubby Santa. Um, and underneath this cat adorned Christmas jumper, I have one of the pieces of merch that I've been sending.
Oh, do share. Let's see. Which color do I think it is? I'm going to say it's the gray one. Oh, no, no, no. The black one. Oh, that is nice.
The
That is
simple black
nice.
and white, Andrew, is
Yeah.
very popular.
Yeah. Is that the one that was most popular? I haven't
Not
seen
the
the sales numbers.
No, the full colored black, I think, was the most popular, but this
Okay.
was not far off it. And there was also a grass green
Yeah, I like
with the
that one.
white on it, which was super popular. And we had our partner, Jace, he explained to me that the one that I put down as a light green was in fact Kelly green.
Ooh,
There
yeah.
you go.
Yeah, I didn't get one, by the way. It
No, you
literally sold
didn't.
out so quickly. I did not get one.
No, I
So in
can still get you
January,
one.
I will have to circle back in January
Yeah, and
with everyone
Newman, the
else.
silly sausage, he was going to get one free, and he went and bought one. Oh,
Oh,
Newman,
yeah, but he did that because he
he's a
knew
good guy.
because he's a good guy and he just wants to help in any way that he can because he's a genuinely good human being. That's lovely. Oh, that's a beautiful Christmas story to end on, JJ. Um, I enjoyed this. I love these live shows.
They're brilliant. Sorry for the
There's
short
real
glitch
there's some
where I
real
left you on
jeopardy.
your own.
Yeah, yeah, I did a Manscaped read. I talked about PSG for a while. I don't even know what happened there.
I honestly, it was
I
probably
blacked out halfway through.
I think it was probably a refreshing break from me. You know, sometimes I'm a bit much.
When is
People are saying
when do you go to Ireland, by the way?
I go to Ireland on the 20th, so next Wednesday.
Gonna be some nice late night pods for you, my friend.
I'm going to tell you, Andrew, we are going to
Oh, those gonna
try
be some
and
midday pods?
we're gonna pod because we haven't missed a week. We haven't missed a week in 9 years.
Not once.
Oh my God.
Yeah. We're Cal Ripken of the soccer podcast universe.
We, we are Cal Ripken. That's a great analogy there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Iron Men.
we will be doing things 'cause it's a busy period, but we will try and fit them in where I am not like absolutely exhausted for my trip home with my
Nice. It's gonna be nice. I'm happy for you that you're getting back there. I should finally because Hanukkah is about to wrap up. We gave our kids
Oh.
one of our like really what were like one of our more fun gifts tonight. Gotta say, if you want to leave with like a funny image in your head, we got them a laser tag set, but like it comes with
Oh.
4 of them. So like like we can all play. Oh man, that is fun.
Le-
I'm running around the house. I'm like diving behind the couch. I'm like full in on playing laser tag. It was great. It's the best
and
gift.
oh my God, yeah. And but I know Luke is smaller. Does he get upset when Daddy shoots him?
No, he thinks well because it makes like a noise and then
Boing.
it tells you like
How many lives you've left?
yeah, and it kind of gives you instructions. It says go 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 like when you're getting like multiple hits. So I think he just finds it exciting. His problem is you do have to reload, and I think he's still learning. Like he sometimes is like, why isn't it shooting? Like why isn't anything happening? I'm like, you
Right.
have to reload.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, but oh man,
Yeah.
I'm loving it. So fun. I'm
That
not
is
usually
that
that
is
guy. Like I played
yeah,
paintball a couple times, loved it.
awesome.
Horrible at
Awesome.
it, but loved it.
Yeah.
And this is sort of like the watered down version of that, but it was great. Super fun. And
Hey, it's the first step towards your kids getting concealed carry permits.
easy, easy. JJ, I
Benny.
enjoyed this so much, and I enjoy everybody out there who took this in, who listened to it. Thanks for those of you who interacted, got messages up on the chat. Appreciate it. If yours didn't get read out, I apologize on JJ's behalf. He was bereft And maybe he just doesn't care about you the way that I do. Maybe next time I'll have to be in charge of the chat.
Can I finish with a few things?
Yep.
Dwayne Phillips, the Tim Duncan of pods. Austin Griffin, the consistency is what makes you great. Erica Downing, oh, sweet Erica. She's listened to us for years and years. We've put her through so much. The Phil Kessel of pods. Who's Phil Kessel?
Hockey player.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Phil Kessel. Is that a good comparison?
I mean, I think I nailed it with Ripken, to be honest. I don't think you can do better than that. I think I won. I think I won this one. Ripken.
Okay.
The Iron Man. JJ, got anything else?
No, I don't. I just appreciate everyone who logged on. We will start doing this more regularly. Because YouTube are bullying us into doing it, but more than that, it is actually fun, and it's a good thing to do.
Yeah, good stuff. We'll be back, of course, early next week. We'll have another pod. We'll look back on the revival of Liverpool and Manchester United and see if JJ gets a repeat performance of what happened last season. Should be interesting. Should be a fun weekend. This was awesome. Hey, JJ, to you, I say,
check you later, fun boy.
I'll see you.
Take care.